Okay, good morning again, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today for our seminar on aging in place and universal design concepts. We really appreciate you spending some of your Saturday morning with us and hope that we will be able to provide you with a few good nuggets of information while planning for your aging in place in the future. So my name is Julia Wolfgang, and I'm a design consultant here at Foster Remodeling Solutions. And also joining us today is our VP of Business Development, Chris Arnold. Throughout the seminar today, if you have any questions, please post them in our chat box, as we will pause a few times during the seminar today to answer your questions. So let me start by telling you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised here in the Virginia metropolitan DC area. I currently live in Alexandria, and I was inspired creatively at a very young age, as I come from a family of furniture makers and home builders. At a young age, I was inspired by my grandfather in North Carolina, who built furniture in his wood shop. And also at a very young age, I was exposed to the construction industry through my parents, who dabbled in the residential construction industry. So I attended the University of Maryland, and I do have a degree in interior design. In my early career, I specialized in commercial and residential interior design. And then eventually I took a leap of faith and started a business of my own, designing and manufacturing luxury bedding products, which I sold directly to other interior designers and furniture retailers. I owned that business for about 20 years and missed design, interior design, so I came back to this field. During my previous career, I also had the fortune of working with large companies like Thomasville Furniture, Bed Bath and Body Works, and a major fabric retailer to do commission design work for them as well. And this is a photo of a recent kitchen project that I completed with a client. We'll talk more about that a little bit further in the seminar. So on our agenda today, first I'd like to introduce you to the Foster family and what our process is here, the people that work here. We're also going to be talking about aging in place today and universal design. More specifically, we'll be covering aspects of exteriors, entries, how to achieve first floor living, lighting and safety, and also kitchens and bath when you're considering aging in place. So who is Foster Remodeling Company and what do we do? We are a full design and build company. We are also Class A rated, and we are licensed in the state of Virginia. We focus on interior and exterior remodeling projects, which could include kitchens, bathrooms, additions, basements, and interior and exterior remodeling. We consider ourselves a one-stop shop. We have in-house professionals, which include interior designers, architectural draftsmen, estimators, installers, and complete management of the installation of your project. We are also 5-star rated and independently surveyed by Guild Quality. So please, if you're interested, check us out on guildquality.com. We also offer a 5-year warranty on our work, and we also provide references and a warranty binder as well. Most importantly, we feel like the most important thing that we can provide you is peace of mind. Peace of mind that your project will be installed professionally and on time. So let's meet the team. First, we have David Foster, who's the president of our company, and also Chris Arnold, who is joining us on the seminar today, who is our vice president of business development. And here are some images of our design team. The first picture there on the left is myself. I'm Julia. And we have Kara and Rachel and Kelly. And today I'd like to give a special shout out to Kelly for all the hard work that she contributed to helping put this seminar together today. So I'd also like for you to meet Joshua, who is our architectural designer, Brian, who is our estimator and purchasing manager, and Lee Koslavka, who is our VP of production. So all of these gentlemen would be part of the process, and if you chose to work with us in the future for any project, you would get to know our entire team. Of course, we have amazing carpenters and electricians, very dedicated and truly skilled at their craft. So what is aging in place? And what is universal design? And how do they overlap? So simply stated, universal design is design that is based on equal access and use of space for all ages of people and for all physical conditions. Aging in place, on the other hand, focuses more on adjusting and redesigning your space for homeowners that want to modify their existing and interior spaces to easily navigate and live in their homes with a greater sense of comfort and safety as they age. There's an abundance of options that you can consider to enhance the aesthetic appeal while responding to the ergonomic needs of aging that impact access, usage of space, and lighting, just to name a few. So today, we will focus a little bit more on aging in place design. However, as we go through the seminar, you'll also notice that there are many examples of how aging in place and universal design concepts will overlap. So again, here's our agenda that we'll be addressing for aging in place, where we'll take a look at exteriors, entries, how to achieve first floor living, lighting and safety, kitchens and bathrooms. We're going to start from the outside and work our way to the inside. So let's start with exteriors. With aging in place, you always want to consider using finishes that are low in maintenance, whether they're exterior finishes or interior finishes. So in this case, for exterior finishes, you want to be looking at the possibility of brick, vinyl siding, stone finishes, or composite siding, and you can enhance the aesthetic appeal by using combinations of those finishes. If you take a look here on the photo to the left, the photo of the house that has this sort of slow winding and gradually raising sidewalk that leads up to the front door, that is an ideal entry access to a home for planning for aging in place, because it allows you to walk without steps. You can use a cane or a hand walker or even a wheelchair. So now let's take a look at decks and porches. So here we see some decks and porches that offer beautiful details that can be used with low maintenance composite materials. Shown here is a composite deck on the left-hand side that has the look of wood. There's also a ramp here that allows you to bring a wheelchair up to the front of the house, or just simply to walk up without having to go upstairs. The best part of all of these type of composite products is that you don't have to paint them, so very, very low maintenance. You can also see from these other images, there's also great opportunity for detail, like the wrought iron that you see here. There's wood look, and you could go with white or wood look mix. So there's lots of options for exterior finishes that are low in maintenance. So let's take another look at ramps. In the previous slide, we looked at one ramp that was coming up to the house with composite. Here's a few other examples of ramps that can also be used. The one on the bottom left, and I'll bring my cursor over here. This one here is a portable ramp. So If you have a family member or a visitor that's coming to the house, you can pull this out and use it and then easily stow it away. There's also other examples like this metal ramp that goes up to the house. The one here on the bottom right is similar to the one we looked at previously with a gradual walking path that goes up to the front door. And the one in the top right here is what we would refer to as a zero threshold. So whenever you are planning for aging in place, it's always a good idea to plan for at least one entry to the house that has a zero threshold, so that if you are using a wheelchair or a walker, that everything will have a level floor as you're entering the home. So let's talk about landscapes. I love a beautiful garden and I really look forward to the perennials blooming every year. It's important to consider the maintenance of plants on the exterior when you're aging in place. It's always great. You can have great, beautiful plants that offer a beautiful aesthetic appeal, but will be very easy to maintain as well. Plants such as hostas, pachysandra, periwinkle, and perennials and low-growing shrubs, like the entry on the front of this house. So we've just gotten started here, but I just want to check if anybody has any questions at this time. Chris and I will be taking a look, and we can answer any questions that you might have. Okay, so I don't see any questions in the box yet, so we'll go ahead and move on. So next we'll be taking a look at entries to your home. So when you're planning for aging in place, it's also very important to have a landing that is at least 5 foot wide and with a covered porch if possible. You also, again, as we saw in the previous slides, want to have very clear pathways that are very accessible to the front door. And again, we have another example here on the left of sort of a portable, another style of a portable threshold that can be used at the door as well. The example here to the right shows how you can use sensor lights at the entry. So in the evening when the light is low or it's dark outside, you have good visibility as you're walking up to the front of your home. And another very important factor is to make sure that you have a doorbell that is an accessible, visible location. So let's talk some more about access and safety. You can also look at adding motion sensors. For example, this one in the photograph below, you can see that she's entering the room. She's got a handful of laundry basket and she's reaching up to get the light. That's not the most ideal situation, especially as we're aging. So you could possibly use a sensor there so that when you enter the room, the lights will come on and you don't have to reach for a light switch. It's also important to maybe consider lighting on stairways like you can see here, lighting that could be placed on the side of a staircase. And also in this photograph, you can see a staircase that has underlighting on the handrail. Another way that is great to achieve a wide opening access at your front door is there are special doors like the one shown here where there's a side light, and when you want to, you can actually open one side light in the door at the same time, which will give you a much wider access to coming in the front door. Personally, I think lever handles like the one here are always a good choice for aging in place because they're easy to open and close. So let's talk a little bit about landing zones. You should always be sure when you're entering your home, whether it's like a mudroom or a laundry room or a front entry, that you have a landing space to put packages down so that you can organize your packages and carry them through the house without having your hands full of a lot of things coming into the house and walking all the way through. You also want to consider selecting finishes that are no skid tiles or wood floorings or a luxury vinyl plank, something that's easy to maintain and will not be slippery. We definitely want to stay away from flooring that would be like a polished stone, or a polished stone in a bathroom as well is something that you'd want to stay away from. So how do we achieve first floor living? Two of the things that are most important to achieve first floor living is that you must have a bedroom and a bathroom on the main floor. There are several different ways to accomplish this. You can do it by remodeling your existing interior space. You could consider a garage conversion, or possibly an addition to your home. We're also going to look at how, different ways of access to reach a different floor in your home. Say you have a home with a second floor or basement. We're going to look at different ways to access those to be able to also have first floor living type experience. So in this particular example here is one of an interior. We remodeled an interior space, an existing space, to accommodate aging in place. So the photo here on the left, you can see where the circle is, that this was existing a large living space. And in the after photo, you can see specifically that a wall was created here to enclose this so that it could be more set up like a suite, like an in-law suite or a suite for aging in place in the future. We were able to include a large bathroom here, which had a walk-in closet and vanity, and then another closet over here. So this is a really good example of how you can do, if you have enough square footage in your home on the first floor, that you can convert to a suite for aging in place. And here's some additional photos of what an interior remodel might look like. You can see that it's important to have wide hallways like the one shown here so that it can accommodate a wheelchair. You need a minimum of 36 inches to accommodate a wheelchair. And also you can see here on the left that a small kitchenette was built. You can see a bedroom towards the back, and on either side here would be a bathroom and a closet. Another interesting way to plan for aging in place, if you don't have a lot of excess space, or if you're planning for a visitor to come, an elderly parent or a friend who's elderly coming to your home, you could also consider installing a Murphy bed in one of the rooms that would allow you to offer some additional space, easy and functional for overnight stays for people who are also elderly. So let's talk about a garage conversion. In this particular project, this is actually a project that is currently in process here at the company. And Kara, one of our designers, worked with this client. It's just about to start construction. You can see here that there's a double garage here. And in this drawing is the existing drawing where you can see the garage with the 2 car spaces. And since this project is currently ongoing, we don't have the finished photos of them yet. So I'm going to show you an illustration of what we've proposed. This is the type of illustration we would provide you going through the design phase of your project. What you see here is the space where the garage has been converted to a large master bathroom. A very large deck here that allows for a nice ramp coming up to the front of the house. There's a new entry that combines the existing house with the new addition, a large walk-in closet, and a very large bathroom that allows access for the wheelchair in the bathroom. So this is a really great example of how you could do a garage conversion. And, in this case, they added some extra features like the front deck and the ramp. So what we're showing here are a couple photos of the beginning stages of what your garage conversion might look like. You can see the studs are exposed, the drywall has been removed, In a case like this, typically garage floors are set 1 or 2 steps below the main level of the house. So we would raise this floor up by building another floor we call a sleeper floor, raise it up so that it would be at the same level as the existing home. When the project is completed, the photo here on the right is a good example of what an interior space might look like. So let's move on to talk about additions. One of the first steps to review when you're contemplating an addition is to check the property site plan. In our case, we would request a property site plan so that we could review the setbacks that are established for your neighborhood and your community by the local county jurisdiction. So once we've been able to review the setbacks, we could determine how much space we could build onto your home from the sides, in the back, or in the front. So in this example, there's an existing carport here. Here's the drawing shown in the circle. So you can see that the carport is here, but there is available space behind the carport which joins the house wall, and there's a large deck in the back. This is a photo of the project when it was completed. So what this client did was we removed the carport, and they decided that they would like to have a garage in place of where the carport was. So you can see the garage is here. There's a new entry on the side, and then an entry that goes directly into the home. They've added a suite towards the back. This would be considered an aging in place suite. There's a new door here that separates the existing living space from the new space. So there's a large walk-in closet, a linen closet, a nice sized bedroom to access, and then a very nice bathroom with a walk-in shower, and in this case, 2 vanities. So normally you would see this 2 vanities for a couple who are planning in the future to age in place and use this as their primary bedroom in the future. So here we see a few more photographs of what an addition process might look like. You can see the beginning of some construction back here with walls being built. And then I've included a few photos that can show you some examples of what a suite might look like. In this case, at the top, there's a small kitchenette in this space. So this would be probably considered more for an in-law suite or something like that, where there would be a separate kitchen in the space. Nice bedroom size. You can see the bathroom over here to the left, and the kitchenette beyond the doors. And then also closet space is always very important. So when planning that, we always want to make sure that we have enough storage available for a suite in an addition space like this. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about accessing other floors in the home when you don't have, for example, a ranch style home. So you can access a second floor or a lower level by considering the use of an elevator or a lift. These are great examples of how that can be accomplished. So if you don't have room inside to add an elevator or lift, and you have a deck, or we could build a deck so that this could also be accomplished. But over here on the left, you can see a couple of examples of exterior lifts that will bring you up to a deck level. And this one right here, there's a gate there so that when you're using the lift, you can open the gate and access the deck. There's another one here on the left. And then if you look towards the center, you can see there are options for interior lifts. This one looks a little bit more commercial. This is also a little bit more commercial, but it's installed in a very modern style home. This would take you up to another level in the house. And then these are very popular. You've probably seen ads for these on television, which is a chairlift. So if you have a situation where you can't really reallocate space on an existing floor, you want to remain in your home, it's your forever home, you could also perhaps do a chairlift or something like this. if the stairway is narrow, we could look at the possibility of maybe widening that stairway for you. There's also some other very interesting options for elevators. This one right here is very interesting. It's sort of shaped like a tube, and it's very quiet. I've actually been in one of these before, and it's extremely quiet because it sort of moves by air pressure. So these are great for small spaces. And also the one here on the bottom is a more traditional looking elevator, almost like something you might see in a boutique hotel. This is a very traditional home, and the door will close, the elevator's behind it, and it was trimmed out with paneling so that it would match the rest of the interior of the home. Okay, so let's move on to lighting and safety. Lighting and safety are not always at the top of the discussion list, but nonetheless, they are very important details that should not be overlooked. So at the beginning of the seminar, I did talk a little bit about doorbells. There are a lot of options for doorbells. In here, we have an example of a Ring doorbell that could be used. The great thing about something like this is that you'll know when somebody's approaching your home, or if they've left a package on your porch. And also, if you have solicitors coming to your home, you can decide you don't want to answer the door for that pesky solicitor. There's also a wide range of electronics, centrally controlled electronics that you can put in your home that control the lights in your house. You can control the thermostat when lights come on and on, what the temperature is that you want to set for the house, different times of the day. You can also lock your doors through this type of a panel. You can set an alarm through this type of a panel. And you can also have motion sensors that are attached to this type of a panel. Night lights are always great to have, especially in the bathrooms or in hallways. Here's a couple of examples that you could use for night lights with your switches and your receptacles. These are designed with a cover plate that actually has a night light in it. So in the evening when the light goes down, the natural light outside is lower. These lights will come on, and when you walk into the bathroom, say in the middle of the night, you don't need to turn on a light that would be harsh on your eyes. You can just rely on lights like this. They even have water closets with night lights like the one shown here. And again, coming back to the image that we looked at before of entering rooms that are dark, and the idea of using a sensor so that when you walk into rooms that you use frequently, the lights will automatically come on for you. I also just wanted to touch on windows a little bit and talk to you about, if you're thinking about replacing windows, you might want to consider windows that are very easy to open. In this case, they swing out instead of having, for example, a double hung window that you have to push up and down. These would be a little bit easier to operate. You could use a lever handle on them as well. So we're going to take another quick pause here to see if we have any questions.
So Julia, we do have a question from somebody.
Okay.
They ask, is adding a bedroom and bathroom to the first floor a good investment for resale? Is this something people are looking for?
I think that's a really great question. So there's two ways to look at this, I think. If you are thinking about doing this for aging in place, obviously, that's the most important issue is your consideration for having this space, for being able to stay in the home, your forever home. I also think if you add, adding a bedroom will always add value to the home, and I think it actually adds value to most homes to have a bedroom and a bathroom that are on the first floor. Chris, was there anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I think adding a first floor master suite is a great investment first off, as you said, it allows you to stay in the home a lot longer. But also in Northern Virginia, there is a very low inventory of homes that have a first floor master suite. So it's definitely a project or a home that would be in demand when it comes time to sell. Also too, things that add value to homes are anytime you add an additional bedroom or if you add an additional bathroom, these are all features that do add to resale to a home. Typically a bedroom could net you maybe 35 or 40,000 more dollars in the price. Same with a bathroom. So they are great investments and are also great for resale down the road.
Great, thank you, Chris. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on to the next area of discussion today, which are kitchens. So we're going to first look at what we would consider a universally designed kitchen. And as we discussed before, universal design is a space that is designed for people of different heights and different physical abilities. So if you, for example, if you have a family member that's living in a wheelchair, or you're planning for the possibility of wheelchair accessibility in the future, these are great examples shown here of how that could be accomplished. You can see in the photos here, there's different work heights. The sink area has been lowered. There is space for you to roll up to this to have leg room underneath. Over here on the left, there is a cart that could be pulled out and away from the countertop to access, and then also could be pulled away so that the space is open. So if you're cooking and you're in a wheelchair, you could, this countertop has been lowered so that you could reach the top of this and cook comfortably as well. You can also see that the oven that's shown here has a door on it so that you can open the door and reach in, and it's right at your, right within the zone in which you would be able to comfortably access what's in the oven if you happen to be in a seated position. Again, there's some more examples here on the right with a little bit more traditional looking kitchen that has been adjusted for universal living and living in a wheelchair. One of the other really important factors to consider when you are designing a kitchen for universal design is that you always want to have a 5-foot radius turning, so that while you're in a wheelchair, for example, you can comfortably maneuver within the space. So this is a kitchen that is designed, that I recently designed for a couple who were planning to age in place. The original kitchen was cramped. It had narrow aisleways. When the refrigerator doors were open, it blocked access to one half of the kitchen. It was not well organized. It didn't have many inserts in it. So there was a couple of blind corners in the kitchen. So in order to pull anything out of there, you had to get down on your hands and knees. So we don't want anybody having to get down on their hands and knees to access or find any items that are in their kitchen. So in this particular redesign, the emphasis was to maximize the storage and function with this design, and that it would bring comfort and provide an enjoyable space to work in and prepare meals for many years to come. The island, as you can see on the back here of this island, is a lower surface. So this could be for working. If somebody is working and they're in a wheelchair, they could use this particular location. It's also great for another surface to maybe set a computer and work, or have a meal at that location. The countertops are made of quartz products, which are also extremely low maintenance product. It's a composite material of quartz and polymer that are bound together to make a very solid surface that's very easy to clean and great for these type of installations. You can also see that great thought was put into the location of the appliances. In this case, you can see right here the refrigerator And this is a oven and microwave combination. They were set at a certain height so that when you are cooking, you open the ovens, they're at the right range to be pulling things in and out of the ovens in a standing position versus a more traditional range where the oven is set low and you have to bend down to get your baked items out of the oven. So this is ergonomically a much better position for an oven and microwave placement, and is also less stress on your back. The refrigerator is placed sort of to line up with the aisle here, so that when you're accessing the refrigerator, there's lots of room behind you for other people to work within this kitchen as well. It's not easy to see in this particular photo, but there is actually a cooktop here that is an induction cooktop. The great thing about an induction cooktop is that it conducts heat from the surface directly to the cooking pots. So if you happen to touch the surface of this while you were cooking or just immediately after, it would be warm, but it would not burn you. So that's another great safety feature as we're aging, to think about things like that, cooking surfaces and safety in the space. I also wanted to mention that this kitchen is loaded with a lot of accessories. These particular photos don't show them, but in the next slides, we're going to take a look at options for adding accessories to your kitchen that will make it a much more functional and pleasurable space to work in. So again, these are great for access and function and less strain on your back. The first item we have here is a pull-out that is right next to the range. It has a knife block in it. There's also on either side of this is spice storage. The one in the center here to the left has a pull-out that includes slots for cooking utensils. This could also be placed right next to the range. There's great organizational base cabinets that are designed to hold cooking trays and dividers and cutting boards like the one shown here. And then the one on the far right is specifically designed for spices. And the nice thing about something like this is that these shelves are adjustable, so you could put taller items in here as well. So if you happen to have a kitchen that has a cooktop like the one we just looked at, it would allow you to have drawers below the cooktop surface. So you could add these pull-outs that organize your dishes or your cooking pots, and how great would it be to be able to just cook and reach down and grab a plate to serve up a meal. Also, if sink, you don't typically see drawers in sinks. You typically, more traditional design would be for doors. I think these drawers actually show a great option because you don't have to bend down to see what's back in there. So keep in mind that if you decide you would like to have drawers below a sink, they won't be a full size because we have to allow for the plumbing and the disposal that would be contained inside. So here is another option for interior inserts. This is a pull down. These can be motorized or mechanized. In this case, this is a mechanized pull down. You just grab the handle here on the right and pull this down. This allows you to access items that either you might store in here because they're heavy, or you might, it might be a shorter person and reaching items in the top shelf might be a little difficult. So you could add something like this that makes accessing items in the cabinet a little bit easier for you. So a couple more options for accessories. The one that is shown here on the left is what we call a blind corner. You might have in your home like a corner cabinet. It's like a Lazy Susan where it spins. This one is a little bit different in that it's a blind corner, And this special shelving that's here is actually attached to the door of this cabinet, so that when you open the door, it will pull out and you can access all of the space that's inside of this cabinet and easily reach the items that are inside of the cabinet. These are great for storing large items like the ones you see here, where there's some boxes in there, perhaps a toaster, some things like that, or you could do a blender or water pitchers or things like that. The cabinet here on the right shows a pull-out that's designed inside of a tall cabinet. So perhaps there might be a microwave inside of this cabinet that you don't want to have visible all of the time. So when you're using the microwave, you could open these doors, they would pocket back, and then you would have a nice surface, a landing surface, to remove any hot items you were taking out of the microwave. So this is an example of push touch. So you might be interested in looking at the option of doors and drawers that don't require hardware. Very easy to open and close by just pushing on them. You push on them and they open, and then you push them back to close. We'll talk about some more finishing touches here in kitchens. I personally prefer large, wide pulls if possible. This is an example of, again, an electric cooking top. These allow for large handles and large drawers where we could store the dishes and the pots that we looked at. Also, you'll notice up here at the top, this is a pot filler. So what you can do here is you can put a pot there and actually pour the water into the pot directly in that location. Again, we talked about task lighting, night lighting, things like that. Here's an example of under cabinet lighting that can be used. You can put dimmers on these so that you can adjust the degree of light for different times of the day. We mentioned the pot filler previously. Here's another picture of that. And most of us, I think, in our homes today have faucets that have a pull down sprayer, for example. But there's a wide range of motion sensor and touch sensor faucets available in the market that are, because they've been so widely distributed, they're actually very affordable today. So here's a couple of examples of that type of a faucet. And I just wanted to check back in, Chris. Do you see any other questions at this time?
Yeah, we do have several questions here.
Okay.
One question was, how can we schedule an appointment to get started?
How does an appointment get started? Okay, great question. So we have a very detailed process that we go through, but the first initial thing that we would do is you can give us a call. We'll have some phone numbers here that you can reach out to. We also have a survey at the end that you can fill out and put your information in for us to give you a call. Initially, Teresa in our front office will speak with you about what you're interested in doing, what type of project you have, and then she will schedule with one of the designers here an appointment with you for one of our designers to come out. One of our designers will come out, we'll review the project with you, and then the next step after that is that we would plan to do a presentation here back at our showroom and go over all the details of the options for your design. We would provide an estimate for you. And then at that point, if you decided to move forward, we would move into a formal design agreement and start the process for planning your space, making the determination on all the final finishes. And we'd work through that entire process until the final contract was signed and a start date assigned, and then we would move into installation. So that's a really brief description of our process. But the first step is to just reach out to us, give us a call, send us an email, and we'll set up an appointment with you to come out and meet you at your home to discuss any type of project that you're interested in. Do you have another question, Chris?
Yes, we do have an additional question. It says there were a lot of dishes in the dish drawers. How much weight are those drawers designed to hold?
I'm going to turn my volume up for a second. Chris, could you repeat that question for me?
Sure, there was a picture that showed a lot of dishes in the drawer.
Yes.
So how much weight are those drawers designed to hold?
That's another really great question. So there's lots of different manufacturers, but I would imagine that those drawers would probably hold, at least 50 to 100 pounds of weight. One of the things that we would do, depending on what you're planning to store in those drawers, is to just verify with the manufacturer how much weight that particular drawer could hold. Most of these drawers are also designed with special they're not hinges, but the rails that pull out, and they're designed to hold a lot of weight, especially in that type of design where there's a lot of, maybe ceramic pots and pans, things like lots of heavy weight in there. So pretty much, unless you're putting, 10 bowling balls in there, I think you might be okay. But let me ask you, Chris, do you have some more information or ideas or thoughts about that?
Yeah, typically those drawers are rated between 75 and 100 pounds. And another great feature with the drawer glides is their full extension. So that means the whole drawer comes outside of the cabinet. So it makes accessing everything easier. So it's a really nice feature and they do hold quite a bit of weight.
Great. Is there another question, Chris?
That's it for now with the questions.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody, for your questions. And if you have any more, please feel free to type them in there. All right. So we're going to go ahead now and take a look at bathrooms. We've talked a little bit back and forth about universal design versus aging in place design. Here's some examples of universal design. First, we want to talk about it. It's worth mentioning again that I talked about the 5-foot turning radius. So here's a diagram that shows a bathroom, and you want to be able to make a complete radius turn here. So that's very important. We also want to have a certain amount of space available in front of fixtures between 30 inches to 48 inches. We also want 3 feet of clear floor space in front of the toilet, and to the sides you need to have a certain amount of space at least on one side of the toilet. The other side has to be a minimum of 18 inches away from the water closet. Let's see, and also the sink tops, the lavatory tops, should be no higher than 32 inches. And also you want to have a minimum of 29 inches of knee space underneath. So I'm giving you lots of numbers here. Don't be too concerned about that. If you are interested in designing a bathroom like this, universal design, or for wheelchair access, we can help you work through all of these details and make sure that we cover all of your needs for a space like this. An example here on the top right is an under cabinet vanity that shows how you can walk up and roll up to this in a wheelchair. While we're going through this, please, again, I just want to mention, feel free to ask any questions. You can pop into the chat box and just type a question in. We'll be happy to answer them for you. Getting back to universal design here, I wanted to mention the idea of a pocket door, which is shown here on the left image. These are great for tight spaces or having a better access to a space. For example, a door with a swing on it, once you open the door, you have to clear that door. So in a case like this, when you're walking in and out of bathrooms, pocket doors are a great option. For extra seating, if you have an existing bathroom that you don't have a bench seat in, you could use a temporary bench seat, something like the one shown here. And this example of the water closet shows 3 different height styles. In today's homes, more typically you will see this lower height, which is at about 14.5 inches high. It's really not the best option for ergonomically for standing up and sitting down. More typically, you will see this middle height, which we call comfort height, and it is set at about 16.5 inches. So it's more widely used. It's what we use most often for our clients for when we're designing and selecting new water closets for a space. And the third option that we see here is a taller water closet that's set, the seat height is between 18 and 19 inches. And this is designed more for universal design and ADA compliance so that you can shift from a wheelchair over to the water closet. Some people who might be very tall might also prefer this type or this height of a water closet. Okay, so I'd like to review with you another installation of a project that I worked on with a client where we took several spaces and combined them into one larger space so that it would be more functional, a little bit easier to move around in, and addressed a lot of needs for aging in place. In this design, the focus was on comfort and function and access and safety. So here you see a folding bench. So this is another option that you could use. We could also build a bench seat in here that is designed with tile or quartz top. This particular one shows a teak bench that you can see can be lifted, folded, or closed. We also have included wall niches so that you can put your shampoos and toiletries in. This particular shower also has grab bars on opposite sides of the wall so that when you're sitting in the bench or standing in the shower, you always have a grab bar within reach to balance yourself or hold on to. It's also great to have other accessories in the shower like soap dispensers shown here. This particular shower has 2 shower heads on opposite walls of each other and also has a rain head shower. You can see that there's lighting in the shower as well, which is very important. In this particular project, the client opted to do a brighter white light in the shower and then a warmer light that was located in the recessed lights that were in the actual bathroom space. This design definitely hits all of the markers that you might want in a shower that provides safety and seating and grab bars, and also a lot of comfort features as well. We'll take another look here, a different angle. I'll point out to you that there's a bench seat here. I think it's always a great idea to have another seat that is outside of the shower so that when you're preparing, you have a place to sit down. When you come out of the shower, you have another place to sit down again when the floor might be a little bit wet there. Also, it's great to have accessories that, in this case, like a shelf that's nearby, robe hooks so that the towels and the robes are immediately accessible. I'm going to circle this little area here that shows that there's a panel there that is designed to control the heated floors. This client decided to go with heated floors so they could set it with a timer so in the morning when they get up, the floor is nice and warm. It also radiates warmth into the room as well. And even though we can't see it in this particular photograph, this outlet here and the other outlets in this room are fitted with the covers that have the night lights on them. So when this client walks into the bedroom or the bathroom in the evening, these night lights will illuminate low light so they can go in the bathroom without having to turn on the overhead lighting. And just a couple more things here in this bathroom I wanted to show you. The one here on the right is the feature wall that's in this bathroom. You can see that there's a handheld water shower. There's some additional shelves as well for additional toiletry items. The shelf that's set lower is more for sort of like a foot rest. So for the ladies out there, you know what I'm talking about. In a shower, you need a place to be able to shave your legs comfortably, and a shelf like this set lower can take care of that task for you. Also, you'll notice right here above this is the diverter that turns the water on for the shower heads. So in this case, the door is designed so that when you open the door, you can easily access the diverter to turn the water on, so you don't have to step far in to the shower to turn the water on. Wait till it gets to the temperature that you're comfortable at, and then you can step into the shower. Okay, and a couple of other options I wanted to show you for showers for aging in place. This first one here, these first two pictures here are what we call wet rooms. And so they're designed a little bit different in that they typically do not have a door on them. You walk into this space. So other than that, you would see a lot of the same features in a bathroom like this. You'll see seat benches that are built in. Here's a diagonal grab bar so that when you're in a seated position, you can use that grab bar to get up safely, put less stress on your back. This room is completely tiled. You can see the tile at the top of the ceiling as well, which is always a good idea in a space like this. And hard to see it, but all the way across the back here is what we call a linear drain, where the water can drain away to one location. Another example of a wet room here with the shower on the other side. And these two photographs here are of another project that I worked on with a client last year. And this is a zero threshold as well. This is designed with an angular glass door. The door is a little bit wider so that they, in the future, if they needed to, they could use a walker or a wheelchair to access into this. You can see it's zero threshold so that they can walk right into this space. And also there's grab bars that go all the way around this space. So because it's a large space, they wanted lots of grab bars to balance themselves. And this is a close-up picture here of the linear drain system that I was talking about. So linear drains can be installed. um, Typically, you know, it would require a certain depth below it to install linear drain to accommodate the plumbing that has to go below that. So depending if you have an existing home, depending on the depth of the floor joist, we may or may not be able to accommodate the plumbing for a linear drain. However, there are other options that could be done to help accomplish this by perhaps maybe building a soffit below this space that could accommodate the plumbing, or if this happens to be on a concrete slab, like in a ranch house, for example, those are very easy to install linear drains in because we can just break up the concrete, install the plumbing, and create a new floor for the linear drain. You might have seen these type of options advertised online. If you're interested in a tub, a walk-in tub, there are many options available on the market. These are an example of two options. And in this case, you can see the shower, a shower above this. One thing to consider and to investigate when you're thinking about doing a walk-in tub like this is to check the specifications on how long it takes to fill the tub and how long it takes to drain the tub. Those are two things that might be of interest to you, knowing when you're making a decision about which one you'd like to go with. So we'll talk a little bit about vanities here. There's hundreds and hundreds of options in selecting vanities. One of the most important things when you're selecting a vanity is to determine the height of the vanity that works best for you. Typically, today in most homes, a 36-inch height vanity is usually installed. A 36-inch height is the same height as the height of the kitchen counters in the cabinet counters in your kitchen. And so I'm going to show you another slide of different heights, but it's important to think about the height of the vanity that would work best for you. 36 inches great because it's a little bit more ergonomically designed. You can stand up straighter, you don't have to bend over. Some homes you might find, in older homes you might find the very low vanities, which are really can cause a lot of stress on your back. So let me show you the next slide here. Here's an example. We have two vanities side by side, and so you can see the difference in height here. The one on the left is set at 32 inches high, which includes the countertop, and the vanity on the right is set at 36 inches, including the vanity height. So again, this is just a great example to take a look at and decide which height will work best for you. And if you're working on a bathroom project with us, we'll go through all of these options with you to help determine what will work best for you. So let's talk about some more finishing touches. We talked a little bit about the electronic panels. Just wanted to point these out to you again. You could, consider doing thermostats that regulate the water temperature and floor heating. They could be preset to certain times of the day so that you could have it all ready to go when you're ready to use the bathroom space. There's also many options for accessories that include grab bars. Here's a few examples, like a soap dish that has a grab bar on it, the tissue holder, so that would be next to the water closet. It's another great way to assist you for getting up and down. And here's a shelf in a shower that has a grab bar on it, and also a diverter in the shower that has a grab bar around it as well. So as we are aging, designing spaces with good lighting in them becomes a more important consideration. The use of window placement for natural lighting and some other features we can review, like that we've reviewed today already, like under cabinet lighting, task lighting, night lighting. And here's another example of mirrors that have lighting in them. You could also maybe consider doing a tilted mirror like the one here so that you can adjust it to exactly the right position that works best for you. These mirrors that have lighting in them as well can also be adjusted and dimmed, so you can use them in different types of lighting. And faucets. Faucets are another opportunity to address, aging in place needs. Handles that are easier to grip, like the cross handle that's shown here, or a lever handle that's shown here, or the touchless are great options, more desirable, especially if you're updating a bathroom. These are great options to consider. And just checking for questions again, Chris.
So we have several more questions. One question is it possible to replace a soaking tub with a walk-in tub?
I'm sure that it can be. The things that we would look at in making that, making that analysis for you is the size of the space. So when we're designing a bathroom, we're always sort of thinking of it as a blank slate. Of course, there's existing plumbing in place for the bathtub or the shower or the vanity, but we can always make adjustments within an existing space to make for example, in this case, a walk-in tub fit into that location. It might require some other adjustments to some walls or some plumbing, but it definitely can be accomplished. Chris, did you want to add anything to that?
We can definitely swap those out, but as Julia had mentioned, we may have to adjust some plumbing, some of the rough-ins and things like that. But it is certainly possible, and we would want to take a look at it to determine the best route to make that happen.
Thank
So
you, Chris.
we have several other questions.
Okay.
Another question is, can a double vanity be installed with one sink at 36 inches high and then having another sink at the ADA height?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's just that's a simple matter of selecting the right cabinetry, installing the plumbing in the right, the right heights. It can be designed, in a way that would be aesthetically pleasing, but absolutely, we can design vanities at different heights. Absolutely. Be happy to help you with that.
And several more questions here. So, if you have a shower without a threshold, is there a problem with water running out of the shower and onto the bathroom floor?
Okay, that's a great question too. So when we are working with you to design a bathroom with a, zero threshold, like some of the examples we showed here, we take great care in designing it so that the water will flow away from the entry. Normally as you're using a bathroom, depending if you step out completely wet or if you dry off inside, you're going to probably get some water outside. But in terms of using the shower while you're using the shower, all zero thresholds are designed, and the slope of the floor is designed for all of the water to move away from the door and into the drain.
So also with the curbless showers, we tend to waterproof the remainder of the bathroom floor. So if any water does, come out, at least it will be totally waterproof within the bathroom. And one last question with bathrooms. Uh, I have seen grab bars installed in lots of different ways, diagonally, horizontally, vertically. What is the best way to install them or attach them?
Oh, another really great question. One of the things that we do here at Foster is we install additional wood blocking behind every accessory that's in the bathroom. So behind the grab bars, any place that it would be designed where there would be a grab bar, we would put additional blocking behind it where there's, towel racks, the toilet paper holders, anything like that that attaches to the wall. We are going to add additional wood blocking behind it so that it's very secure. So, if you're using it as a grab bar and you hold on to it, it's not going to pull away from the wall. There are different ways to install grab bars. There's horizontal grab bars that you would usually use in a standing position, like in some of the examples of the bathroom that we showed you. And then usually you'll see the angled grab bars near a water closet. So if you're in a seated position and you're getting ready to stand up, you can use that grab bar in a more natural movement at an angle to pull yourself up or stand up from a seated position.
So that's it for the questions.
Okay, great. And thank you everybody for all those really great questions. So there's just one more slide here that I wanted to share with you. This sort of relates to one of the questions we had a few minutes ago about our process. I did talk a little bit about this during the seminar, but I wanted to show you a diagram sort of to depict our process. Again, we're a full service design and build company, so we manage the process from the very beginning to the very end. We handle all the permitting, the purchasing, the installation. We have a full-time carpenter on the job. There's a team of people that will work on your project, but the carpenter, the primary carpenter, will be there every day, and you'll learn to love our carpenters. They're awesome. And it's also very important because it's a matter of trust. But this is just a brief outline of our process again. It starts with vision, which would be the initial meeting that we have with you where we talk about what it is you're interested in doing. We would design some options for you, review that with you along with an estimate, provide you with the scope of business. At that point, if you decide you'd like to move forward, we move into a formal design agreement, which requires a 5% deposit on the project. Then at that point, we work toward making all the specifications. We'll come back out. Joshua, who's our architectural draftsman, will come back out to your home along with myself. He will remeasure the space as he starts to build his drawings for building permit. Eventually, we'll complete draw up the final contract that has all the finishes that you've selected will be in the final contract. And then the next step is we'll be starting the process of purchasing materials. We'll provide you with a start date. The start date will be listed in the contract. There'll be a start date and an end date listed in the contract. During that time, our installation manager is planning all of the logistics to start the construction, and usually about a week or 2 weeks before we start construction, construction manager Lee Koslavka and myself and the carpenter that's assigned to your project will come back out to your home. It's an opportunity to meet the carpenter, ask any additional questions that you have. Lee will go over all the logistics of the process of the installation itself. He'll talk about site protection, if a dumpster is needed, talk about special needs that you might have for people living in your home or pets or access to your house, things like that. He'll also provide you with a timeline that will show you, what days and what weeks certain work will be done. And at the very end of the project, when everything is completely done, we ask you to do a punch list for us that you'll go over with the carpenter. And then at the very end, about a month or so, 4 weeks, 6 weeks after your project is completely done, David Foster and the designer involved in your project will come back out to your home and do one more walkthrough with you to just make sure, after you've been living in your space for a little bit of time, that there isn't something else that you've noticed that needs attention. As I mentioned before, we do offer a 5-year warranty. So we're going to leave you with a warranty binder with all of the information about all the products that are in your home and how to reach us if you have any issues or concerns that come up that need to be addressed under the warranty. So that's pretty much, again, another small synopsis of our process. But, the first step, again, would be to give us a call and we'll get an appointment set up with you. So in closing, I have a brief video that I wanted to share with you about our company and what some customers wanted to share their thoughts and experiences about working with us. We'll be happy to discuss any additional questions you might have at the end of this video, so please stay on board, watch the video, and if you have any additional questions, we'll be there to answer them for you at the end of the video. I'd like to say thank you again for joining us today for this Aging in Place and Universal Design seminar. We know how valuable your time is, and we really appreciate you spending your time on a Saturday morning with us. So please stand by for the video, and thanks again for joining us. And if you have any questions, hang on at the end and we'll check back in with you to answer those.
We're really looking for people who want to stay in their home a while and really make their home their own. That client, regardless of age, is really the ones that seem to value what we do as a company.
We had a basement completion. It was a blank slate.
I had a major bathroom renovation done by Foster.
We have been working with Foster for about 15 years, a couple of different houses, but we have had large and small projects done.
Foster Remodeling remodeled my 2 bathrooms on the 2nd floor of our house.
The project was a almost complete renovation inside the house.
So we asked David to come over, and he, in his very gentle David way, kind of took us around. We walked him around the house. He had questions. We had these very grandiose ideas of what we thought we could get done. And he very kindly sat us down and he said, here's the deal. This is what is in the realm of possible for this amount of money. And he said, I think you will be pleasantly surprised with what you end up getting.
I happened to meet Dory at a home show, and I instantly recognized her professionalism. The other thing was that they provided me with references, the number of which I've never seen any company offer before. I mean, usually they'll give you 1 or 2 names, but this was like 50 different people.
I go out and I meet with clients in their home when they're thinking about some sort of remodeling project, a kitchen, a bathroom, an addition, and I talk to them about what they're looking to accomplish, investment level that they're comfortable with, and explain to them the foster process. Then we proceed to the next step, which would be to put together a design and have them come into the showroom.
Probably the biggest impact was the 5-year warranty that they were willing to offer me.
My wife had taken a fall on the stairs, and she did a Peter Pan from the upper part to the lower part on the floor, and was in pretty bad shape there. I became obsessed in regards to grab bars or anything else, because I didn't want any slipping whatsoever. Kayla, who was our design engineer, she came out several times.
It's about, this is a personal space for a lot of people, so you really want to just gain that initial trust up front. Not that I'm just here to sell you something.
Well, we are a military family and have retired and are in a permanent home. And we'd never done a remodel before.
That personal interaction to me and gaining that trust with the client is what really makes it easier to work through the design phase. And
when we saw Rachel, she laid out a CAD CAM drawing of the basement for us, and it was spot on. The minute I saw it, I thought, this is what we want. She heard us, she listened to us.
The next step is really to bring them into the showroom so they can see what we can offer here. We have a lot of products that can be offered up front for the project. You know, there's a convenience factor of not having to go to a lot of different places.
Kayla then came up with a thing that she knew about, which is brand new, in regards to the toilet paper holder. That's a grab bar, believe it or not. That has a grab bar in it. I never heard of such a thing before, but let me tell you, well, now that it's installed, I use it. I use it extensively.
I think the biggest thing we hear from clients is how easy the process is. You know, we have a detailed process that we go through before we start a project. So once we do finally start construction, it goes a lot easier than they're expecting.
And when we begin the project, we put a full schedule together that could be 6 to 8 weeks long. You know, some projects are much longer than that. But we try to stick to that schedule, and we maintain that schedule so that they have a beginning and end date. And that's a lot of our process.
In our experience, Foster explains what the work's going to be.
Yeah.
I think so that as people who are not in the business, sometimes you won't necessarily know, and you're really relying on a Foster to do that, to do the work and through their expertise.
We get a good relationship with homeowners, and we spend a lot of time with them. We see them every day, and we talk about everything every day.
The Foster Company was so good at keeping me abreast and informed of what was going on at every stage. The other thing that was great about the crew and Marco was he was there every day. I was his only real job.
We're in their home, disrupting their everyday life and trying to make it as comfortable as possible for them.
You're talking to people that become an integral part of your family, and they're in your home, and you're trusting them with your most important possession. It's not just a possession; it's where you live, and you're trusting them to fix it, to make it better, to improve it, while there every day.
And they give you a book. It's like this. And this book has all the contract information in it. It has all the warranties in here. It has all the instructions for some of the hardware that was taken out. They keep that all together. So you have that all in one document, and the warranty information, etc. It's all spelled out right here.
Reliable and trustworthy are the words that I would apply to the Foster Company.
Very customer service oriented, very results oriented. Creative.
We'd be great sources of telling somebody that Foster's is reliable, they deliver, they help you get your dream, and they actually make and improve on your ideas.
I just really love my house right now. I just love having people over to my house. Every Christmas dinner, every Thanksgiving dinner in our family, I'm really proud of it. I love having people over to our house.
Every client is different. Every client is special. Every client has specific needs, and we want to hit as many of those as we can for them, because that's really what makes it theirs.
All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed that video that gave a little bit more information about our company and the experiences some of our customers have had with us. I just want to check in with Chris if we have any questions at this time.
Julia, there are two other questions, and also before answering those, again, I want to thank everybody for attending on behalf of Foster Remodeling Solutions. We look forward to hopefully working with all of you in the future. But here are the last two questions. One is, would you be able to widen doorways leading into a bathroom?
Another great question. So yes, absolutely. That is part of the standard design process that occurs on most projects, especially when we're looking at, you know, aging in place, having wider access to bathrooms. So in that case, it would be something where, you know, as part of the project, if it was a bathroom or another portion of the house, we would look at the space around that and determine, you know, the best way to widen that, you know, if there's a wall next to it or a wall that could be adjusted. The other option is, of course, looking at, you know, pocket doors versus swinging doors. So there's lots of options for widening openings and things like that, maybe even remove a door and put a casement opening. So that would all be addressed in the initial consultation that we would have with you. We'd take a look at what you have, what the existing space is, and how we could make the adjustment to suit your needs.
And the last question we have, is there a minimum project price?
Okay, great. Another great question. So we don't have minimums for, you know, minimum project price. But essentially, when we're working with you, depending on whether it's a kitchen or a bathroom or a remodeling project, we're going to look at the scope of work that is involved, and our estimate would be based on, you know, the work that you know, everything we're taking out of the space and making adjustments to and changing walls, for example, and everything that we're putting back in the space. So we would determine what the cost would be to do that project, and that is how we come up with the pricing. We do not have a minimum price here at Foster. However, you know, it would working with you would require, you know, a project that you know, required the renovation of a space versus, you know, for example, things that might be done under time and materials, for example, sort of handyman type projects. We also do address those type of projects, usually associated with a project that a client has already done with us, and they need a couple things done in here and there in the future. We can usually accommodate those type of situations.
And also to touch on that a little bit, it's really not a minimum price. It's really more of a minimum scope of work. So initially we would be looking at you know, kind of doing a complete renovation of a bathroom. So probably not just you know, small spruce ups initially. But once you're a client of ours, you're a client for life, and then we would come back and do anything for you in the future.
Great, Chris. Thank you so much. So, you know, that kind of wraps it up for the day. I want to thank you again. I hope that we were able to provide you, as I said at the beginning, with a few good nuggets of information that were helpful to you thinking about, you know, ideas that you want to and put in place for your, you know, your forever home and aging in place. Again, thank you for your time. We really appreciate you being here and hanging in with us and watching the video. And feel free to give us a call, reach out to us. Our information is on the screen here. You can also reach me directly or call the office, and we'll be happy to set up an appointment with you and look at the project and see how we can help you. So thank you, everybody, and we hope you have a wonderful weekend.